Michael Saylor is facing legal challenges. This is the topic of today's video. Stay till the end of the video to find out what is actually going on. Is this a risk for you if you have invested in strategy, and how will it turn out? So let's look at all the details. What do we have? We have Michael Saylor, as we all know, is the chairman of strategy, which was called MicroStrategy before they renamed just recently. And he is facing significant legal challenges while pursuing an ambitious Bitcoin investment strategy. In this presentation, we will analyze the legal impacts, the financial risk, and also find out if this could be a problem for the company strategy and for the strategy if other companies want to implement this. So stay to the end of the video to find out what is going on. The class action lawsuit overview. Let's find out what happened. Let's look at all the details. Filing date, filing details was the 16th of May, so just some days ago, in U.S. District Court of Eastern District of Virginia. Here you have the case number as well if you're interested. And the allegations, what are the allegations? Claims strategy misled investors about Bitcoin investment strategy. Profitability, violating federal security law under 15 U.S.C. paragraphs 7, 8, and defendants. Michael Saylor, strategy, former MicroStrategy. Peng Li, president and CEO, and Andrew Kang, CFO. The current status, this is the status of today. The lawsuit remains in early stages with no further development reported. In the following data, you will see that this is not the first time Michael Saylor is getting into trouble with the law. For example, we had in 2022 a lawsuit filed against Saylor, so the DC Attorney General sued Saylor for allegedly evading over 25 million in DC income tax from 2005 to 2021 by falsely claiming residency in Florida and Virginia while he was living in a luxury penthouse in DC. What were the allegations? So Saylor allegedly lived in a 7,000 square foot Georgetown waterfront penthouse with his yacht on the river and so on, but he claimed he's not tax resident there. In 2023, there was a partial dismissal of the case. The judge dismissed claimed under the False Claims Act, but allowed the city to pursue 25 million in alleged unpaid taxes plus interest penalties. After that, in June, on the 3rd of June, there was a settlement. Saylor paid 40 million, and this is the largest income tax recovery in DC history. Let's also have a look at the Bitcoin investment strategy if you don't know how strategy or former MicroStrategy works. Long-term value, maximize shareholder value through Bitcoin appreciation. You may know that Michael Saylor's original business, where they have software, is not really bringing in any value, so he pivoted to this new model where they actually buy loads and loads of Bitcoin, and because the Bitcoin appreciate in value, the company is exploding and they're issuing new shares all the time. They're getting shareholders to buy in, and the majority of the value of MicroStrategy is based on their Bitcoin holding. They have a massive Bitcoin holding, over 500,000 Bitcoin, valued at about 40.18 billion at the moment. And the funding mechanism is equity. So convertible notes, preferred stocks. So they're issuing notes and stocks all the time, backing it with actually Bitcoin investments. The timeline strategy began in August 2020. Saylor's idea is that Bitcoin will appreciate because it's limited supply, and he advises other companies to buy Bitcoin with the reserve they don't need. With the background that the US dollar is going down, there's a lot of inflation, At the moment, Bitcoin is actually the only asset that you can hold to not have the factors of inflation. Even if you hold the S&P 500, you can even out the inflation. You will just make in the S&P what you are losing through inflation. With Bitcoin, you have a very positive balance sheet. And with all the accounting rule changes and so on, the companies can also put it on the books now with their actual value. What are the most recent Bitcoin acquisitions for MicroStrategy? We had 7,390 Bitcoins recently purchased. They have spent around 764.9 million on that latest buy, and the average buy was 103.498. This brings us to a total holding of 576,230 Bitcoin that Strategy is holding at the moment, which is really a large amount. What is the criticism and controversies that people tell Saylor? Shareholder dilution. Critics argue that issuing more equity to fund Bitcoin purchases could dilute shareholder value, potentially damaging the stock price if market conditions deteriorate. This concern forms a central part of the class action lawsuit allegations. We will see what will happen if Bitcoin really goes down very much. How will that have an impact on the share price, and what impact will this have on the company strategy? Sustainability risk. Questions persist about the strategy's sustainability if Bitcoin price falls significantly, as we just discussed. Saylor himself admitted in a Fortune article that shareholders would suffer if Bitcoin were to fall 90% and stay there for 4 to 5 years. But come on, this is really unrealistically. Industry skepticism. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong noted that Coinbase considered a similar strategy but deemed it too risky, highlighting the unusual nature of Saylor's approach compared to industry peers. What is the legal timeline and development? We have heard about this lawsuit already in 2022, tax fraud. We don't need to discuss this again. The dismissal here, the tax case settled. But now we have this new class action lawsuit filed against Saylor and the company. New class action lawsuit filed against Saylor Strategy and executives, allegedly misleading statement about Bitcoin investment strategy and risk to investors. Bitcoin strategy funding mechanism. Let's have a look at the mechanism, how it works and why this is a problem in the eye of some courts. The equity, the common stock, issuing new shares to raise capital for Bitcoin purchases, potentially diluting existing shareholder value, as we learned already. Convertible notes, debt securities that can be converted into equity under special conditions, providing flexible capital structure. Preferred stock, a type of equity that provides dividends to investors, offering another avenue for raising capital. And also, of course, we have the Bitcoin holdings. The accumulated cryptocurrency serves as treasury reserve asset, intended to appreciate over time. What are the key takeaways out of this presentation? We know that the strategy of Strategy is really unique till now, and that they have over 500,000 Bitcoins already with a value of approximately 4.18 billion, which is really unique. So we have legal challenges. Saylor has just settled a lawsuit for 40 million because of unpaid tax, and now they are facing a new issue because of their maybe very risky strategy. What is the investors' implications? Investors make a lot of money with this strategy because Strategy, or MicroStrategy as it was called before, even outperformed the Bitcoin price. The question is just what will happen if the price will sharply fall and stays for a longer time quite low. As discussed, this is very unlikely. It's not unlikely that the price falls very much, but it's unlikely that the price will stay low for 4 to 5 years, as we have learned in the presentation. I hope that was useful, and I see you in my next video. Take care. Bye bye.